Today we're going to learn how to farm Chia in Windows. The first thing you need to do is open a browser, navigate to chia.net/downloads. You never ever want to download the Chia blockchain from anywhere else besides this link. We're going to click on Windows and it's going to download the Windows client. And what we're also going to do is download this mainnet database torrent file. This will allow us to basically sync the blockchain much faster. Remember, Chia is a fully decentralized peer-to-peer blockchain, and we need a full copy of the blockchain so you can validate all the transactions that happened in the past. One way to do this is actually just to start up the blockchain application, start up Chia, and it starts up a full node, which will actually start getting blocks from peers and syncing. Now this process, now that Chia has been around for about 2 years, may take 4 or 5 days. So this is a way to speed up the process. So now we're going to do a quick install of all these. The Chia application is starting up, and we're going to also fire up transmission so we can get this torrent downloaded in the background. And we're going to drag the torrent file in there, and it's going to download the 60 gigabyte torrent file. Select destination folder downloads is totally fine. And now this 60 gigabyte file, which is the blockchain that is compressed, is going to download here in the background. And while that's going on, we can go in here to the Chia wallet. So there are 2 options here. There's farming mode and wallet mode. If you're going to be farming, of course you need farming mode. This runs a full copy of the full node, the farmer, and the harvester services that will allow you to do the farming. If you want to just use the Chia client as a wallet, you can use wallet mode and it will sync from remote peers. So you don't have to sync the blockchain or do anything if you just want to download it and send transactions and collect NFTs or whatnot. So we're going to choose farming mode, and it's going to start up. It's going to ask us for permission here on the firewall. So we're going to say OK, because the farmer is going to need permission for port 8444. We're going to hit create a new wallet key, and this is your 24-word seed phrase. So do not ever show this to anyone. If anybody gets these 24 words, they have access to all your funds. And unfortunately, people aren't as secure with these as they should be. This is the most important thing to keep safe in your Chia wallet. So, right now I'm on a test system, so I may take a screenshot or something like that just to be able to have the keys here, but never do this. Don't ever take a screenshot. Don't have a file on your phone. You need to write these 24 words down and put them in a very safe place. So these 24 words in this exact order are going to be able to recover all the funds and your wallet at any time. We're going to call this one JM Test 1 and click Next. So what's going to happen now is it's going to start trying to sync the full node in the background. So you can see here it's already syncing the blockchain. So we're going to actually cancel this. So we're going to actually stop the service, and we're going to wait until our transmission torrent file is done downloading. We are back and the torrent is done downloading. You can see my tracker is giving it an error. That might be my ad blocker here on my DNS. But we can just remove this now because it's all done. And we will go to our downloads folder and check. We can go in here into our blockchain and we can say show more options, 7-zip, extract here. And so this is a 60 gigabyte compressed file. So if you're on a slower system, this may take a few minutes. So what we're going to do now is if you click on the Windows button, and if you're on Windows 11, you can just type in hidden, and it will give you the little option here to show hidden files in File Explorer. If you're on Windows 10, you have to go to Control Panel, but now you can just click here, show hidden files on File Explorer. And so what we're going to do is open up a new File Explorer tab. We're going to go to this PC, users, your username, .chia, mainnet, and database. You'll see here there's already a file called blockchain v2 mainnet SQLite. That's the database file. This is the old one that didn't fully sync. This is our new one that's more or less fully synced. So what we can do here is just basically drag this file in here, and we can rename it. We can delete this one and rename it to, this is just the date that it was synced. And now when we start up the Chia client, we are going to have a big head start on the blockchain syncing. Now we can go in here and you can see here this little yellow dot. That means the full node is still syncing, so we can click on this full node tab over here. If you're like me, I like to prefer, there is a dark mode here, client, and you can set up a dark mode here in the options. I kind of prefer the dark mode, so it's up to you. So you can see now we are syncing the blockchain. So it basically, the checkpoint was over about 3 million blocks. So now we're just going to let this kind of finish syncing in the background. But while that's syncing, we're going to do one important first step. So when you make your plots, we're going to create something called a plot NFT. And we're going to need this for our pooling. And for a plot NFT, you have to make a transaction on the blockchain. Why do you have to do this? Well, in Chia, the actual pooling protocol is actually a smart coin, which is built in ChiaLisp. This is really clever because now it allows people to switch pools, but still have the decentralization where the farmers actually make the blocks and they're not centralizing services with the pool. So you can basically have this reward where when you're pooling, you smooth out the rewards and you get rewards over time based on how much storage space you have to the pool, but you're not sacrificing decentralization. You still get to have the farmers make all the blocks, and you can switch pools whenever you'd like. And there's a 20 block escrow period or something like that when you switch pools. But the whole state of the pooling protocol is managed on chain. So you do need a little bit of Chia to do this. So to get some Chia, we're going to go over to the wallet here in tokens, and we're going to hit receive, and we're going to get a receive address, and we're going to hit copy to clipboard, and we're going to go to faucet.chia.net, smash in that address and type I'm not a robot. I'm going to find this motorcycle here and verify and submit. Accepted. So now this wallet will get a few mojo here once it's synced. You can see here, if we click on this full node tab, that it says status synced. That means the blockchain is fully synced. You can see peak height, 3.4 million blocks. But you can see here that you can look at the height of all these people's blockchains. And in Nakamoto consensus, you don't have to trust anyone. You can just trust the blockchain with the largest weight. And then you can actually verify that versus the blockchain, that the blocks are valid and then that they pass the consensus and that everybody's following the rules. This is what makes Chia a permissionless and decentralized blockchain. There is no permission to join the network. You can farm, you can take your storage offline, you can stop when you want, you can come on when you want. There's no validators, there's no trusted nodes, there's no requirements. You just do whatever you want. And that's what makes Chia so special. So now that our blockchain is synced, we're going to go click over to tokens, and we're going to make sure that we have a little bit of mojos in our wallet. You can see this one mojo from the faucet. Now we're going to go on to the pooling tab. Now this seems a little counterintuitive, joining a pool before you make any plots, but again, in Chia, this is a requirement because you have to make a plot NFT that will be, all your other plots will be generated from. This plot NFT is going to tell the pool that you own the plots, and then the pooling protocol in Chia is actually a smart coin built into ChiaLisp. So we're going to go ahead and click on join a pool, and we're going to connect to a pool. Now at this point you can join any pool you like. For this test I'm going to do a space pool, which is pool.space, and you can click on how do I join, and you can click here in the link here for Americas, and you can say, you basically put the pool URL here, and then you can basically put a fee on the transaction. I'm just going to put a 5 mojo fee, which is 11 zeros and 5, and I'm going to hit create. Now that we have our plot NFT, you can go in here to pooling tab, and you can see that our plot NFT is created. We will use this plot NFT to create our plots. There are 2 things you'll actually need if you want to plot on another system, for instance. So the first thing, you actually have to use the Chia CLI to get this. You can go in here and get some details about the pool login link and other details here about the plot NFT, edit payout instructions. You can go in here and change some things here. But what we want to do is actually look at the pool contract address. So one way you could find that is if you go to plots and add a plot, and you scroll down to the bottom, you can look at this, look at your plot NFT here, and you have a little question mark. You can see this pool contract address down here. That's not a great way to find it. I prefer basically to go to the CLI. Now if you go to, remember, you go to C, we installed it to program files, Chia, and you're going to go to resources, app, daemon, and then you're going to copy that, and then you're going to change directory in your terminal to there, and you're going to run the Chia exe. Now this is going to be how you run your command if you wanted to do any CLI commands. The CLI command we're going to use is going to be Chia keys show. This will show your master public key, your farmer key, your pool public key. What we're going to need right now for plotting is your farmer public key. So we're going to copy that, and again, I make sure I actually copy the entire thing here. And we're going to open a text document, and again, this is where you would open a text document and put in your farmer key. And then the other thing we're going to do is do a Chia exe plot NFT show. And then this is the plot NFT command, is how you manage the plot NFT from the CLI. But this command is going to give us something very important called our pool contract address. Now this is what you are going to use for plotting, that are going to tie your plots to that plot NFT. So pool contract address, make sure we don't get confused here, and your farmer public key. These are the two things that are very important that you need to know for plotting. If we wanted to create a plot from the GUI, we will go to the Plots tab. We'll click Add a Plot. You will select, on most people's systems, you will select BladeBit Disk Plot, which supports the majority of system configurations. You will go to Advanced Options. If you have, say, a 8-core system with 16 threads, you may want to use like 15 threads here. Number of buckets, 64 is going to perform best on most SSDs. Cache size, this will reduce the disk writes by the amount of caching you have. If you have up to 100 gigabytes of DDR4 on a system, so you have a 120 gigabyte system, you would use 100 there. And then you could use basically this alternate bucket writing. Again, these are kind of detailed settings. You don't need to worry about the rest of the advanced settings. Now, if you're plotting on a separate system, this is where you would use your farmer public key and your pool contract address to make sure that you're plotting the right two keys for your plot. Now, if you are, since this system only has one farmer key, one set of keys in there, it's automatically going to use that for your farmer public key. And if you go down here to select your plot NFT, that's going to create the plot with the plot NFT. So if I do this now, it'll automatically start creating the plot. Now, if I go to temporary directory, I can select here on my PC. I just have this temporary file, and then I would set this same directory as an output. Now, if you're on a real system, you would put your hard drive as the output and your temporary SSD as the temp directory, and you would click Create. You will click on the Plots tab, and now see we have one harvester with one total plot. You can click on this folder here, which is R letter drive E. You can see there's one plot file in there. In the Chia GUI, you can say the Add a Plot actually is the plotting tab. But if you go here and say look at Add Plot Directory, you can see it's added our plot directory E. So it's going to scan that entire folder for all the plots in there. So we don't have to add that folder again. Any new plot files that go into that folder will get added automatically. If you are setting up a farmer and your disks already have plots in them, you just need to add the directory, and then the harvester will scan them and find them. Now, if you click on the farming tab, you can see the status. We are farming, total Chia farmed 0, we just started. And of course, we only have one plot, so our estimated time to win is 133 years. So not so good. This is why you want to be in a pool. Now, every single 9.375 seconds in Chia, there's something called a signage point. Now, we have a block, one out of every 2 signage points on average, so every 18 seconds or so. But every time there's a signage point, each plot you have has a 1 in 512 chance, this is the constant for the plot filter, to basically pass the filter and become eligible for farming. And if it becomes eligible, then you can do a proof quality check and find out if you actually have a proof that is close enough to the given challenge. If you are the closest in that time slot in the entire network, then you get to make the next block and win 2 Chia as your reward. So this is the incentive for Chia farming, of course. And if you're in a pool, again, the farmer gets 0.25 or 1/8 of those Chia farming rewards, and then 7/8 or 1.75 XCH go to the pool for distribution for the entire pool. So that was an overview of how to farm Chia in Windows. We downloaded the Chia client, we downloaded the Chia database from a torrent file, we synced the full node, we grabbed some Chia from the faucet, we created our plot NFT, we created our first plot using BladeBit Disk, and then we are farming our first plot. That was quite a bit for one day. There are a ton of more advanced topics for Chia, like remote harvesters, which are able to scale the number of systems you have farming Chia on the same network. There are things like GPU plotting, which allow you to plot hundreds of terabytes a day. There are things like compressed plots, which allow you to reduce the size of the plot file and trade off for compute. And there's all these really advanced Chia topics. It can all seem extremely intimidating, but the first step is just to learn how all this stuff works, the terminology, and the only way to do that is to dive in and install the software and create your first plot. It is proof of space, and the most important thing is the amount of space that you have. So that is always the number one thing to focus on. And with that, hope that you guys had a good time learning this farming Chia in Windows. Thank you.